Don't wish for a lighter load. Instead, wish for a stronger back. And the only way you develop that is to put more weight on the barbell. And that means you're dealing with more challenges and more adversity, so it's good. This is what gives you the opportunity to become the leader that you will have to become to get your firm to where you want it to go. I'm Michael Mogill, founder and CEO of Crisp, the nation's #1 law firm growth company. I've built my business through practice, not theory. Crisp started with just $500 to my name and has grown to over 8 figures in revenue over the last few years, earning a spot on the Inc. 500 list of the fastest growing private companies in America. Our approach has been to take everything we've learned about generating massive growth within our own organization and help the country's most ambitious and committed law firm owners do the same for theirs. In each episode of this podcast, I sit down with innovative market leaders from the legal industry and beyond to learn from those who thrive in the face of adversity, challenge the status quo, and define what it means to be a true game changer.
This is Jessica, Head of Coaching Strategy at Crisp, and today we're flipping the script for another special edition episode to get Michael's take on how to stay calm, clear, and focused when it feels like everything is falling apart around you, why leading your team effectively during personal crisis is possible, and how to compartmentalize to maintain focus at work, and how to push through financial hardships without losing motivation or confidence, even when it feels like your firm is on the edge.
When you start a business and other people rely on you and they rely on the firm for their livelihood, if you're the right type of leader, you feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to support those people and provide stability and security. But as you know, I wouldn't say you were a failure unless you think this is where the story ends.
That's coming up on the Game Changing Attorney podcast. Hello, welcome back, Michael.
Let's go. Another one, another AMMA. Before we get into this, I was actually thinking our habits and a habit that's been absolutely transformational for me that I used to think was like this woo-woo, kind of like this BS thing, and I put it off for many years, and I just kind of stopped. But then, a few years back, this was actually around the time of 2020, going into 21. Our second daughter was about to be born. Like, obviously, all the COVID stuff was happening. There was obviously tremendous stress within the business. We were building out this office. It was a massive investment at the time, very scary, especially, at a time where everyone was saying I was crazy for even investing in commercial real estate. Very, very stressful period of time. And leading into this, I was like, you know what? I need a better way to be able to manage stress. I looked into meditation because I heard that there was a number of billionaires that swore by it. And I'm like, okay, with these guys, the billionaires, and meditation, I don't know, correlation, causation, who knows? But let me give this stuff a shot. And I actually ended up getting certified in transcendental meditation, like TM.
Yep.
So it's basically you sit there and you close your eyes and you're essentially reciting a mantra and you're just coming back to the mantra. They can't, you can't share your mantra because it's for you, right?
Yes.
It's personalized to you, so you'll never know. But I started doing this, and essentially you sit, 20 minutes in the morning, right? And then 20 minutes typically in the afternoon or even in the evening. It's awesome. I mean, it starts tough because you're just sitting there alone with your thoughts and you're just breathing. You're like, this is kind of boring, right? But then as you continue to do it and do it and do it, you come out of this, and every time I do it, I come out more energized, more restored. Sometimes I will use the meditation to actually work through a problem. So if there's something like a decision that I'm not sure, which route to go, or I'm trying to overcome some sort of challenge in the business, I will say, let me go meditate on it. And pretty much every time after 20 minutes, you come out and you have clarity. Every single time, boom, 20 minutes, you can solve this problem. The most difficult aspect of it is just having the discipline to do it and just to sit for 20 minutes. But it's amazing. And every morning now, I'm doing it, and you're just sitting there, because I'll do it in the sauna. I kind of do a little double duty, right? I can get the benefits of the sauna and cook myself. I don't know what, 185, almost 190 degrees, while at the same time also doing the meditation. So you kind of do the 2 for 1. You kind of start to do a little bit of habit stacking. But I will tell you that it's the type of thing where I think it's helped me become a more patient person. I'm not saying that I'm a monk, and that I've reached the Zen or anything
Absolutely
like that.
Not.
But I will say that when I do it, I find that my energy throughout the day is much more consistent. I don't have the dip, a lot of people have around lunchtime. It's interesting, every time, leading up to the summit, before the summit, I've never practiced my presentations. When I'm giving a presentation for the first time, it's the first time I've ever given that presentation. I'm not practicing in front of anyone. It's kind of interesting, right? Maybe I should. But I will have meditated on it several times, right? Because I've spent maybe hundreds of hours creating the presentation. Then as I meditate, I kind of walk through every single aspect of that presentation, every single slide. I kind of walk through exactly how I would do it. So that's my form of practice, and that's what's worked for me. So if you are somebody who would like more energy, and you are somebody that would like to find better ways to manage stress and become a more evolved human being, or maybe you just want to use it to help you solve problems, I encourage meditation. We're not affiliated with any of these meditation organizations. I mean, honestly, there's all sorts of apps that you can use as well, like guided meditation. I don't know. I don't use the apps. I just like to sit there and just focus on the breath, right? And with TM, they're like, everything's cool, right? So like if you start to have thoughts and drifting, no big deal. Just come back to the breath whenever you want to come back to the breath.
Mantra.
Everything is fine, right? So it's helped me. I just wanted to say that's been a helpful habit. Maybe there's been some other ones, but this is one that every time I do, it's like exercise. Like every time I do it, I never regret it. But it's like the doing of it, right? Like sometimes you're sitting there chilling and you're like, oh, should I go meditate for 20 minutes? You don't feel like doing it, but you always are glad that you did. So anyway, I'm excited for the AMA. You guys submit the questions and we answered those questions here on the podcast. And as you know, maybe you don't know, we got 3 types of episodes. We got the AMAs. You guys send in the questions. You text us 404-531-7691. It's a real number. Text me. But don't text me these sob stories, okay? Don't text me asking me for money. And don't text me offering me some sort of like opportunity, right? They're like, oh, I have an opportunity that can make us millions. Delete. Maybe there have been opportunities that could have made us millions, Jessica, that I passed on just because some random person on the internet texted me. Maybe I should have taken advantage of it. Maybe there's someone sitting in some third world country with like coins all over the place and saying, I've been trying to reach Michael Mogill on his podcast and I'm trying to give him these coins from this, this prince,
right.
Because my uncle was a prince, but he keeps ignoring me. So maybe we're missing out. Okay.
Wow.
So we do those, the AMAs. Then we got the traditional interview format. We bring in guests. And then the encore edition, some of our most popular episodes. And this month we've been doing the Road to the Game Changer Summit taking place this November. Man, this is going to be a good one. Okay. If you have not already gotten your ticket, request an invitation, crispsummit.com. You will be an absolute fool to not be there. And I don't care what you have going on. This one is going to be great. It might actually be one of the last ones that we do. So just keep that in mind. Get your ticket, get your ass to Atlanta, November 13th, 14th, or don't, and you can hear about all the firms, all the things that they learned and how they're growing their practice. And then a year later, be like, I'll go to the next one. And the next one's not going to happen because you're not going to get invited. All right, so let's do this, Jessica.
All right.
What do we got this week on the AMMA?
Journey, just to kick us off there.
It is a journey.
Every day's a journey. All right, so how do we keep going when everything's going wrong? So.
That's the theme?
Yeah. All right, question number 1. Michael, I just lost a key team member and a major client left us in the same week. I'm feeling overwhelmed and can't seem to get out of my own head. How do you keep pushing forward when it feels like everything's falling apart?
So first off, I empathize. And I empathize with anybody in the arena. When you're leading an organization, you're growing your business and your firm and things aren't going your way, it's like you can empathize with that human being. The person who strives and tries and just experiences setbacks, you're a warrior. So how do you keep pressing forward? Well, let's say your world's falling apart. Client left you, team member quit. It's just nothing can seem to go right. I remember listening, I think it was Jocko Willink, because I want to give him proper credit for this. So the Jocko Willink, Navy SEAL commander, wrote the book Extreme Ownership, and he talks about that when bad things are happening, even the worst things that you can imagine. Maybe your house got wiped out, and you're like, where's grandma? And you kind of look up and she's, in the trees, like, let me down. Like, she's still alive, right? I'm not going to go morbid. We just got to go to a little ladder and climb up there and get her. Let's say in this scenario, right, you had a team member leave you, you had a client leave you. What do? You ready for this? Good. Okay. That is what you tell yourself. Okay. You experience some sort of bad news. Good. You experience a major setback. Good. You have someone that you relied upon and that you trusted lets you down. Good. And you're like, what? What's going on? And then you start to reframe these setbacks as opportunities to grow and learn lessons, because there's no easy path and you're going to experience adversity. Alternatively, you could just shut the business down, right? You had a team member quit and you had a client leave you. Maybe you should that's it. It's over. Game over. Roll the credits, right? Just shut the whole thing down, and that's where the story ends. Is that what you want? So you're like, no, that's not what I want. I want to keep going. Okay, good. Now start then reframing these things as saying, okay, life does not happen to me. Perhaps life happens for me. And what is the lesson in this? And you could say, well, some things are outside of your control. What's in your control is how you respond, how you navigate that. If you take away all the experiences and all the challenges you've had, and you never had to overcome any challenges, then you probably wouldn't have any skills, and you probably wouldn't have any mental toughness. any resilience. And these are traits that are necessary if you're going to build a great firm. So, and the only way you can gain them is by you experiencing difficult things and then navigating them, because it's not about just absence of problems. You're always going to have problems. You're going to have problems whether you're running a 6-figure firm, 7-figure firm, 8-figure firm, 9-figure firm, or 10-figure firm. Okay, they're going to have problems. They're going to be different problems, but the problems don't go away. And your ability to scale to each level is going to be really in correlation to your level of resilience and resourcefulness of being able to navigate those situations and adapt and figure it out. Okay, this happened. Great. Okay, it's good. What? It's good? You can really like just shock everybody. You know, if you've got like, you know, a management team or leadership team and they're giving you some bad news and they think, oh my God, I don't know how they're going to take it. And you hear everything they have to say and then they look at you and you respond with good. And I sometimes think when the sky is falling, I think, okay, this is going to be a great story one day, right? That's what I tell myself.
Every time.
Because we've said it on the podcast before, like your track record for for navigating bad days and getting through bad days is 100%. I mean, you're still here.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that these are things that, again, are good things, like in terms of, I mean, it hurts. It can be painful. Welcome to running a business. Yes, you got to figure it out. Good. Now you have an opportunity to.
Right.
So you think this is the last setback that you'll experience ever? There could be something that could happen tomorrow that will make you grateful for the things that happened today. What's the Navy SEAL saying? Like, the only easy day was yesterday?
Yeah.
Don't wish for a lighter load. Instead, wish for a stronger back.
Yeah.
And the only way you develop that is to put more weight on the barbell. And that means you're dealing with more challenges and more adversities. So it's like, it's good. Like, this is what gives you the opportunity to become the leader that you will have to become to get your firm to where you want it to go.
Absolutely. Always channel Cy Wakeman on this. Your circumstances are not the reason you cannot succeed. They are the reason in which you must succeed.
They're the reality.
The reality in which you must succeed.
Yes. I was waiting for you to say that. Yes. It's like, oh my goodness. Like, you think you're the only one?
Like,
you're the
this
first
is reality.
person in human history in just, I don't know how many years. In millions of years, you're the first person that had a key employee leave and a client leave in the same week. You're the first. So you're not the first or the second or the third. And people have navigated these challenges before. And I'm not saying they're nothing. They hurt.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Okay, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that, how do you keep going? Well, you start to reframe these obstacles as opportunities for growth.
Yes. I think you give yourself a limit too, on like, hey, you know what? I can bitch about this for 10 minutes or whatever, but then you just have to move into action. Like, it's not going to change anything.
That's right.
So, all right. Question number 2, my family is going through a rough time and I'm distracted while I'm at work. How do you maintain focus and lead when your personal life is in chaos?
Personal challenges are more difficult than business challenges. So, because like the business stuff, it's like, okay, you can work through that. Let's say you got competition, like even at the last question, like client leaves, team member leaves, something like that. Okay, like that's business, you can figure it out. But like personally, oh man, that's tough, right? No matter what that is. Like, I mean, maybe there's someone sick at home.Maybe there's somebody like a relative, got a dying relative, things like that, where it's just, it's such a load on you in terms of like your headspace. And a lot of times it's because you can't control many aspects of that, right? Like somebody's terminally ill and they're going to die any day now and you don't know what day. That's really tough. Or somebody's struggling with addiction. I can't help them, right? It's like, what do you do? What do you do for this person? Anything like that. That's a massive burden. Or maybe like, maybe it's something like your kids are struggling in school.
Yeah.
Right? It could be anything like that. That's such a load. And how do you remain focused? Honestly, I don't blame someone for not being focused. And in periods like that, I think the best thing you can do is ask for help and lean on other people. Okay? This isn't one of those things where it's like, I mean, look, if you have a team of people and you can lean on them, and I don't mean like coming to them for like emotional support and dumping your problems on them. I'm saying more so that if you know that you are mentally compromised and you cannot be effective in your role as a leader, encouraging others to step up and help you and support you while you navigate whatever the challenge that you're going through, right? Because the idea is that, it shouldn't be permanent, it should be temporary, right? A lot of times if you don't navigate this the right way, then you're gonna fuck things up in both areas.
Yeah.
So meaning that you're saying, I'm fine when you're not fine. I've known many leaders like this. Like they're doing what the most difficult thing imaginable at home, and they're like, it's cool because they're being tough and they're trying to put on a very strong front, which I respect, by the way. But at the same time, now they're making mistakes, right? They're making mistakes, there's misfires, paper cuts, things like that in the business, and it just starts to compound and compound and compound because the head's not in it.
Yeah.
Right? So the best thing to do is really take the person out of the equation, right? Take yourself out of the equation, ask your team and ask the people that you work with to help and step up while you're navigating this stuff. And just as you would do for them, hopefully, right? If they were ever experiencing any challenge like that. So I think that's the best way to do it. I'm not a therapist. right? I'm not like a licensed therapist in terms of like how to navigate this stuff, because depending on the severity of this, it's like you probably do need to find someone to talk to, right? You maybe find like a therapist, find a doctor, but like seek out support and ask for help to handle this in the way that is relevant to your situation. But as it relates to the business and the office, I believe the best way to do it is to be, very transparent, very open, and encouraging others to help you and step up during this time, as opposed to trying to, maintain some like a really strong front and continue to make mistakes that they're going to have to come in and fix anyway.
Absolutely. And I really want to reiterate there where you're saying like not the emotional side, because that's the other side. I think sometimes when there's personal things going on, people come in and they make it everyone's baggage, and it's not everyone's baggage. It's, hey, support me at work. I'm not asking you to support me here. All right. Question number 3. I've hit a financial roadblock in my firm, and I don't know if I'll be able to continue to meet our payroll obligations. I feel like a failure. What can I do to stay motivated when everything feels like it's collapsing?
Whoa. So first of all, you're not a failure until you quit, okay? So that's actually the interesting thing. You don't fail until you quit, because you could just be in the process. Just because you have things that are going on that you're experiencing, and let's say in this case, this individual's in a financial roadblock. It probably means cash flow challenge. They're like struggling to come up with the money. It sounds like they don't know if they're going to be able to continue to meet payroll. Yes, I think it's natural to feel like you're letting people down. And, when you start a business and other people rely on you and they rely on the firm for their livelihood, if you're the right type of leader, you feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to support those people and provide stability and security, right? So I 1000% empathize with that, but I wouldn't say you were a failure unless you think this is where the story ends. And the only way this is where the story ends is when you give up, okay? So you get to decide when you quit, okay? So the point is that, so what do you do here? Well, this ain't gonna be popular, but you've got to take corrective action. You're in a financial roadblock. You got a couple options. Option number 1, you got to find ways to get more money. Now, whether that is finding ways to be able to bring in more clients and some sort of, like cash infusion into the firm. But then depending on the type of law you practice, even if you brought in more clients, given what that cash flow cycle looks like, let's say you're in personal injury, it could be months until you were able to collect. And if it's, if you're at a point right now where it seems like you don't know if you're going to be able to continue to meet payroll, you don't have months.
Correct.
Okay. So option number 2, you go out and get that money, right? Whether you get a loan, or you go to the bank. Again, you got to take some massive action. Sometimes you're like, well, I don't like the rate that I would get this loan for. Or maybe you have to reach out to another firm owner, get money from them. They're like, well, they're going to take a piece of my practice. I don't like that. This isn't about what you like. This is about what you need to do to survive. Option number 3, you have to reduce expenses. If you're in danger of meeting payroll, then you have to figure out a way to keep the business afloat, because if you can't meet payroll, well, then the whole thing goes down and everybody is not going to have a job. And I know it's difficult. This is something that so many businesses, ourselves included, I mean, especially during like COVID in 2020, like people were laying people off left and right. We didn't lay a single person off. And we thought about it for a long time. We're like, shit, what do we need to do to survive? Because we're a very travel-based business. What would we do with people that, were primarily focusing on like traveling? They would go out to video shoots. They would go out to like on-site trainings at client offices and so on. And, the flights were grounded. The world was ending. And we thought, well, you look around the world, everybody's laying everybody off. So people would probably excuse you at that time. You wouldn't look like, a complete asshole if you did the same thing. But it didn't sit well with me and it didn't sit well with you. And we found a way to keep everybody. We just kind of focused, temporarily, assigned them to different roles within the company to focus on different things. And we rallied together as an organization, and it ended up being one of our strongest years. And we figured that out. However, that's not to say that that's the way everybody should do it. For me, like laying people off is a last resort. We've never done mass layoffs or anything like that. At the same time, if you have no other option, right, you reducing headcount is survival. And you have to think in terms of the entire organization, right? Yes, there may be someone who's been with you for a very long time. They were with you when you started. And I'm not denying that, because I feel the same degree of loyalty to our people. But if saving one means that the whole ship goes down, then I personally don't know that that's the best decision for leadership, because I always have to think in terms of like the greater good. And I think leaders should think in terms of the greater good. So maybe you need to, like, you're at a point in the business where you need to slim down a little bit. Sometimes you got to take a step back before you can take a step forward. Fourth thing I would say here is, and this is overarching, no matter what you do, either you go out and find a way to get more new clients, or number 2, find a way to go get a loan or just some cash infusion to keep things rolling, right? Because sometimes you've got a ton of cases and you've got a bunch of cases in inventory, but it's really just a function of like the firm is not in an unhealthy place. it's just more of a cash flow cycle issue in the sense that either court dates haven't happened yet, like we haven't collected on money. It could be that. 3, you have to be, you kind of have to sharpen your pencil and, lean out the organization. But the main thing here, the overarching lesson here that, someone should be aware of is like, you should really start to reevaluate what you will and won't do. All these situations in 2020, even, we stopped taking any sort of compensation for the business. We were not going to get paid until we navigated through this. And this would ensure that all the money would be deployed to the team, right? Now, there could be some people say, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, what you want and what you need to do sometimes are two separate things. You have to really reconsider what you would need to do to survive. And if you continue to put up all those roadblocks of saying, well, I like my lifestyle, and I like doing things this way, and I like going out to nice dinners and taking nice trips and whatever, having like 25 subscription services. Wartime, you have to be able to reevaluate what you'd be willing to do. And as a leader, I think you should do whatever it takes for your business to survive and for your people to thrive and to remain competitive and to create stability and security. And I find that the longer that, time passes between what you're willing to do and what you need to do, the more difficult it is. And the harder and harder and harder you make it for yourself. Maybe you got to go back to eating ramen noodles. Maybe you need to go back to, burning the midnight oil, going 24/7, 365. Maybe you need to start going door to door. Maybe you need to start texting the people you went to law school with, say, can they help? Maybe you need to start reaching out to anybody, anywhere that could help provide you the cash infusion. You got to do what you need to do in order for your organization to survive. That's it. That's all I can say, right? The alternative is you do nothing and things just continue to get worse and worse and worse, but the problem does not go away. When the business fails, you can later tell the story of how you were just a victim of circumstance and all these things happened that are outside of your control and that it was never you and there was nothing you could do. And then you will truly be the very failure that you were believing yourself to be now. So you decide, right? You're going to be a failure when you do nothing and then you quit, but you're never going to be a failure just because you're going through difficult times. You made a few poor decisions, because if you can navigate those things and turn things around, you were never a failure. It's just part of the journey.
All right. That's all we got today.
All right. Enjoyed it. Until next time.
You've been listening to the Game Changing Attorney podcast with Michael Mogill. If you found this episode valuable, here are 3 free ways that we can help you grow your law firm. Number 1, download the first chapter of Michael's book absolutely free at gamechangingattorney.com. Number 2, you can shoot Michael a text at 404-531-7691 and ask him any question you'd like. You might just hear the answer on the next episode. And finally, number 3, if you can leave this podcast a 5-star review, it will help us gain access to more influential thought leaders and bring their lessons learned here to you. For more information on this episode, see the show notes in your podcast app or visit legalpodcast.com.